The steel pan has a very rich history. Its story is one of equality and oppression, justice and joy. Just like so many things in history, the steel pan has a very complicated story. And because the instrument has been improperly appropriated, Barrels to Beethoven recognizes the importance of telling the complete story and sharing the stories of the Afro-Caribbean people whose exceptional talents created and perfected this beautiful instrument.
I founded Barrels to Beethoven in 2014 as a way to celebrate my father, Phil Solomon, who is a steel pan builder, tuner, player, and teacher. Our organization intends to honor his contribution to pan and continue his work in steel pan education. Our ultimate goal is to provide a unique option for arts and cultural programming in efforts to inspire a new generation of steel pan builders, players, teachers, and advocates. The steel band movement began in the early 1900s. The instrument was invented by Caribbean people of African descent in Trinidad and Tobago, a small island nation in the West Indies. The arrival of the steel pan was first celebrated, which quickly shifted to disdain and then again to pride. The growth of the instrument was oppressed through cultural, social, and political barriers. But the instrument emerged from a condemned grassroots concept into a respected global instrument now played all over the world. My father was born in British Guiana, now Guyana, in 1946. He made his first steel pan at the age of 16. He built and led several steel bands in Guyana through the 60s and 70s before moving our family to the United States in 1984. In 1986, my father opened Solomon Steel Pan Company and continued to innovate and perfect the building and tuning process. He is recognized for making some of the most beautiful sounding steel pan instruments in the world. In 1995, he was featured on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood to demonstrate how the steel pan is made.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely. Do you have it, Mr.
I
McFeely?
do. Steel pan delivery.
Oh, where is it?
Well, it's a little heavy, so I left it out
Oh,
here.
I see.
Come right this way. Here it is. Oh, this is a steel pan. You see it's on a stand.
That is a beautiful instrument.
My friend Phil Solomon made this one.
That's beautiful. What about all of these things in
Well,
here?
these are notes, and when you get very good, you don't need these notes. But when you're learning, these help.
Are you able to play it?
Well, I believe so. I'll do speedy delivery to you.
Oh, good.
Let me see here. Get set. Here we go.
Very good.
Well, thank you. Would you like to try?
I would.
There you go.
It has a beautiful tone.
Beautiful tone.
Doesn't it?
You know, I have a home video. I went to Phil Solomon's home one day and watched him make a steel pan.
Oh, he actually makes them.
Yeah, and I have it right on here. And by the way, his daughters play some steel pans at the end of the video. Would you like to see it?
I'd like to very much.
All right, we can put these right here.
All right. Should we just play it on picture-picture?
On picture-picture.
Good.
All righty.
I love the tone of that instrument. I also like the way you played Speedy Delivery to You.
Speedy delivery. All righty, here we go.
Let's see. Phil Solomon making the steel pan.
That's right. Phil makes steel pans from big steel drums like this one. To make each pan, he needs to do a lot of noisy pounding. So before he begins, he wraps a blanket around the drum to soften the noise. And he gets a hammer, and he pounds and pounds and pounds the flat top of the drum down until it looks like a pan for cooking. In fact, that's why they call them steel pans.
Aha.
Phil measures the top to make sure he'll have enough space for all of the notes to fit in the pan. And then pounds some more.
I can see it coming into shape.
Now it's time to form each note of the steel pan. To make the low notes, he measures around the outside of the drum and marks the inside edge so he knows where each note should belong.
My, this is complicated, isn't it?
And from those marks, he draws the shape of each note. You see?
Oh, yes. So he knows where to pound some more.
And he writes in the letter that tells him which note it should be.
A. A couple A's there.
There's the A. Next, he draws in the high notes. They're the ones in the middle, you see.
Oh, yes. I remember you were playing them.
To get just the right shape, he traces around these metal pieces, and they're called templates.
Templates? You know, shape seems to be very important for this steel pan.
Oh, it is. Giving each note just the right shape helps to give it a beautiful sound. Guess what?
More pounding.
More pounding, you're right.
But he has to know exactly where to pound to make those notes.
Oh, he surely does. But you know something? He's been making these steel pans for many years.
Is he already finished?
Oh, not yet. He cleans it a little, and then he takes off the blanket. And then he cuts the steel pan off the end of the drum.
Oh, off the end.
That's
well,
right.
what happens to the rest of the drum?
It'll be recycled to make more steel drums that can then be made into more steel pans. See, now in a few seconds here, you'll see the steel pan. You'll take it off the end. There you are.
Oh, and that's going to be the instrument.
Now, Phil needs to tune each note so that it makes just the right sound. And this is an electric tuner.
An electric tuner.
When Phil strikes a note on the pan, the tuner shows him whether or not the sound is just right. See, that's what he's doing now.
That is really interesting, Mr. McFeely. Beside that electric tuner, it must take a very good ear to know when the sound is right.
Oh, it surely does. See, now he's watching the tuner, and pounding a little more,
And listening carefully.
and listening carefully. Now this is time for some finishing touches. Phil drills holes on the two sides of the pan. He uses another template to help him.
What's that for, those holes?
Well, he's going to put some wire in the holes. In just a second, you'll be seeing him do that. He puts it in. There we are. And they make handles.
I see.
And you can carry it around and lift it up onto the stand. He cleans the pan with some polish and a cloth. That's what he's about to do now.
Must have been fun to watch him do
Oh, it
this
was
yourself.
fun. I enjoyed to see how things are made.
How people make things.
There's a double stand, you see? He's putting it on.
Gee, it looks beautiful.
You know, and it sounds beautiful. Just listen a minute.
All right. Tree, tree, tree.
Tree, tree, tree. And here's the video of him and his daughters playing music together.
Oh, good. Oh, that's fun to hear. Makes you feel like dancing.
Oh, it surely does. Oh, steel pans.
Must take a lot of practice to be able to play that well.
Oh, it surely does, but you know, it's worth it.
Oh, I say.
Well, I have to get this steel pan back to Phil.
Could I help you?
Well, I can carry it myself, but maybe you'd like to try it one more time.
Oh, sure.
All righty. Here are the mallets.
Now that I've seen them play. Beautiful.
Beautiful sound.
Thank you, Mr. McFeely. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. I thought
Can I
you'd
help you
enjoy
with
it.
this? Give you a boost?
Yep, thank you. Speedy delivery to you.
Speedy delivery. Thanks again, Mr. McFeely.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Beautiful.
The steel pan is one of the most versatile musical instruments. It can play every genre of music from classical to calypso to jazz. The steel pan is also a family of instruments ranging from tenor to bass. Each instrument in the steel pan family has a specific layout and octave range. Take a closer look at the layout and tone of a few instruments within the steel pan family. I began playing the steel pan at the age of 5. I started performing and teaching with my father at 9 years old, along with my 3 sisters. Through Barrels to Beethoven, I'm able to continue to teach the community about the steel pan through our various educational programs and interactive activities.
That's so good.
I thoroughly enjoy teaching about the steel pan, but I am most proud to teach and perform with my daughters, Sophia, Stella, and Cece. Like me, my daughters have played the steel pan for most of their lives. My oldest daughter and my husband joined my professional band a few years ago. Last summer, my younger daughters joined in and we officially became a family band, continuing the tradition of my family.
I think a lot about past generations, especially the women. Generations of suffering, enduring, overcoming, achieving, cooking, dancing, teaching, and loving. I know that I am because of them, and I remain mindful of their stories while I focus my intention on generations of the future. I started playing the steel pan when I was 5. I learned from my father, Phil Solomon, who's here. My father is a steel pan builder, tuner, player, and teacher. I learned so many things from playing the steel pan. I learned the importance of precision and timing and technique. I learned to focus on my role while valuing the contributions of others, collaboration. I learned to communicate. I learned to teach without belittling. And I learned to just listen. I'm so grateful for the steel pan. It's done so much for me, so much for my sisters, and so much for my family. I started Barrels to Beethoven to honor my father's work, to provide an accurate account of the steel pan's development from the afro-caribbean people. I wanted to provide a way for folks to feel the joy that comes from playing music and playing it together. And I wanted to inspire a new generation of steel pan builders, tuners, teachers, players, and enthusiasts. When my oldest daughter was born, I hoped for two things. I hoped she'd be kind, and I hoped she would love to play pan. I did. I said that in the hospital. Well, she is, and she does, and her younger sisters have followed suit. And so I get to feel the joy that I know that my father felt when performing on stage with his daughters. My daughters get to play an instrument that their mother loves and that their grandfather built.
Through Barrels to Beethoven, I will continue to teach audiences about the steel pan's history, continue to develop new steel pan players and musicians, and train new builders and tuners, ensuring the preservation of our beautiful musical instrument.